I am Elizabeth J. Cron, International Ms. 2022. This is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hello everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project. My special guest for today is Elizabeth J. Cron, who is International Miss 2022. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is mine. You seem to be a very busy woman. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think so. I think traveling takes me to a lot of places, so that takes up a lot of time, and I'm not really one to do two things at once. So when I'm traveling, I'm either driving or looking out the window in absolute awe at the beauty of this world. So I probably could be doing more work on the road, but I usually don't. So I save my work for the office.
I think that's a smart decision. Tell me, I'm reading through your bio and I just have it over here on this other screen and it is, let's call it dense. Um, and I love to ask people such as yourself when you get asked, what do you do? Because I think for people such as yourself, that's like, where do I answer? How do I answer? So when someone asks you, Elizabeth, what do you do? So how do you answer that?
Well, that takes me back a couple years to almost pre-social media. I remember one of my first Facebook profiles that I made, I put on there creator. And I meant by that, again, pre-social media wave, that I create things. I create art. I create inspiration. I create joy. You know, it's all things personal and business related. And then, you know, creators are now influencers and things like that. So I want to say that I'm a creator, but in that other sense that doesn't necessarily have to do everything with social media.
So would it be accurate to say you're very creative?
Yes, yeah. Well, when I'm at my best, yes. I will say that during the pandemic, it was really difficult for me. I think it was really difficult for everyone. It was
Yep.
really difficult for artists. And for me, I definitely went through a period where I was like, I feel like I lost my creativity. I'm watching everyone say, oh, I'm gonna do all the things and catch up on all the things that I'm supposed to and learn new things. And I'm just like, I don't feel I don't feel a spark. There's a spark to creativity. And I just didn't feel it. So I'm grateful to feel that spark again recently.
Yeah, I remember the days of COVID, long and dark. In terms of, I mean, we'll delve into the specifics in a little bit, but just in terms of creativity, I like to think sometimes you're inspired and sometimes you're not. And no matter what field you're talking about, I think if it's a creative field, then it's important to be inspired. And when inspiration strikes, and you just got to go at it because you can't take it for granted. There's another school of thought that says you kind of schedule it. So, for example, in my field of writing, there are some people who would say you should write at the same time every day for an hour, whether you feel creative or not, just to because that's how you get it going is by doing it every day. And I can see a certain sort of wisdom to that. But from my experience, it's very much been on some days you feel it, and other days you don't. You're sometimes better off just going back to bed. Where do you sit between those two schools? Do you just feel like some more it's like inspiration strikes you sometimes, or do you feel that inspiration can be scheduled?
I really relate to both sides of it, actually. In regards to the first suggestion that you made, when I wrote my final statement for the International Ms. pageant, we knew going into it we needed to prepare final statements. We wouldn't have time for questions.
Mhm.
So I sat down. I think I went for a walk with my dog or something like that. And I sat down and it just came out. Like I just, it was almost one of those things where you just stop thinking and the hand
It
goes.
flows. Yep.
And then I looked down and I read it and I got chills. And I knew, I said, okay, no modifications, nothing whatsoever. And I didn't even have to memorize it. It was like a 30-second bit,
Mm.
which to get every single word verbatim after you write it down the first time without memorizing it. I was like, so when it comes to that creativity, I really try to like allow myself to be a vessel and let
Yeah.
it come through me, because when it wants to come, it wants to come. Now, I relate to your second point because I actually I don't write professionally. I told myself, one of these days I want to sit down and get a book written. But maybe it's because I'm not doing it like you that I don't schedule it, that the book isn't getting written. But also, I have 15, I think, about 15 journals written. I've written
Wow.
consecutively every single day for the last, I want to say 7 years, maybe either a page or a half a page in a journal. And I also relate to the fact that some days I just don't want to write. And
Mm.
I go, hello, journal. I'm so angry at you right now. I wish you weren't in my life, but I'm not going to break this like 10,000 day streak. So I'm writing, but I'm still mad at you. So there's a lot there when it comes to creativity.
Let me ask you about the journal because I've been asked
Yeah.
so many times whether I journal or not, and it's normally
Mm,
by people who do journal, and obviously they get a lot out of it. And I used to journal many, many, many years ago, and I I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it, but I don't think I quite got what other people seem to be getting from it. So
mm.
for yourself, I mean, obviously, if you're doing a 10,000 day streak or however many days it is, you must be getting something from it. Otherwise, you would have long stopped doing it. So when you journal, what does the journaling process do for you, or what do you get from it personally?
For me personally, right now in this current iteration of it, I write before I go to bed. So
Hmm.
I find a lot of the things are okay, I need to release this. I need to cleanse myself of these thoughts so I can relax and go to sleep. There have been other iterations of it where I would journal in the morning. And
Right.
those are more like, okay, this is what I want to do today. This is what I want to accomplish. Maybe some affirmations come out,
Hmm.
things like that. Now, I'm a big, I love habits, right? And I love keeping habits. Again, that's why I wouldn't break it. If I broke it for one day, then who knows
Yep.
what day two would look like for me
Yep.
personally. So it's so much a part of who I am and how my day goes at this point that I almost get anxious thinking about not being able to do it, which is also a strange realization, but one you can only discover after you're so deep into it, like I currently am.
What led you to change from doing it in the morning, journaling in the morning, to doing it before you went to bed? I mean, I have to say, I've never tried doing it in the morning. When I get up in the morning, I feel like the best thing I can do is go out and go for a walk because I feel that helps get the creative juices flowing.
Mm.
So I'm much more prone to do it maybe after dinner and or before going to bed. What
Hmm.
what made you make the change from doing it in the morning to the night? Did you notice that it created something different or that it felt different?
I have different levels of discipline, I think. And when I was writing in the morning, it was like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do boom, 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 boom. And then I'm going to start my day. Even if I start my day and work, which was flexible at that time, if I get to the office around 1 or 2, then that's fine. So I didn't have to do like the 5 a.m. miracle morning or whatever
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
to get it done in the morning. I just I just took my time. And right now I'm a little less disciplined in general. I think it's just the thing is, this is the first time I've been someplace consecutively for 2 weeks at a
Oh,
time
wow. Okay.
in many months. So I think just getting on that morning habit is like there's no way right now.
Let's delve into that. So you've just said
Yeah.
that this is the first time you've been in the same place for more than a couple of weeks, which is crazy. So tell me more about what does your typical day look like over the last few months, or is there any such thing? Because you do so many things. I think it'd be very interesting to see how you sort of bring order to chaos, so to speak. So is there any such thing as a typical day for yourself?
Yeah, the first order to chaos is that I remind myself this is what I asked for. That's like, that's where I start. When I wake up and I go, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I go, no, we're grateful. This is what we asked for. This is what we love. And there's a difficult way to live any life. So I'm
Yeah.
just finding out what the difficulties are of traveling so much. A typical day, it depends. When I'm here in Romania, I have two residences in Romania. I have one in the capital in Bucharest, and then I
Yep.
have one here in Timisoara. I'm currently in Timisoara, and this is where my production company is located. So I have a production studio about 10-minute walk from here. I don't drive in the city. I'm
Mm.
really lucky in that regard. And the historic center is all pedestrian anyway. So I walk through this bastion that it used to be one of those star cities.
Mhm.
So I have this beautiful walk into the center. My office is in a beautiful historic palace, actually, literally a palace. And right now, it's a lot of meetings because next year is the European Capital of Culture taking place here in Timișoara. And I have positioned myself literally in the center of it, but also I'm making the business connections, taking a lot of meetings, saying, please come use this space. The space is beautiful. It overlooks one of the center squares. It has a balcony there. So
Mm.
right now is developing projects, pitching projects, finding collaborators, things like that. I'm also remodeling part of the studios, so it turns into a guest artist loft. And that I'll be able to host people, whether they be from other parts of Romania or parts of Europe or parts of the world, anywhere, everywhere. I have a friend of mine coming. She's going to be the first artist in residence
Mm.
for February and March. And I'm really excited because her focus is modeling. So, modeling and pageantry and all of that. I'm sure we'll
Mm.
get into that later. But she's going to be the first artist in residence, and I'm so excited for that. Now, backtrack a little bit. When I'm in Bucharest, I got so lucky. I love telling this story. Okay, can I tell the whole story? Because
Yeah,
I love
sure.
the whole
Go for it.
story. Okay. So about a year and a couple months ago, I was in Mexico doing some modeling shoots and visiting my goddaughter down there and supporting her in one of her pageants. And I got this casting call for kind of like a wellness host filming kind of thing. I didn't know much about the project, but I knew that it was filming in Romania and they were looking for a native English, American English speaker. I said,
Yeah.
yes, I knew it. I knew there'd be a project where they're looking for someone like me. And so being from Los Angeles and having a background in acting there, I am very used to you got to send the tape out. You once you
Mm.
get the call, you got to send
Yeah.
the tape out because there's 1,000 other people that are sending it in.
Sure.
So I filmed it in between my like modeling sessions. I filmed it. Oh gosh, okay, I gotta go. Like, let's do this. And then the next day, I get the sides. I've already filmed it. I've already sent it in. I've just improv the whole thing, like making it up. Like, I think this is what you want. This is what I got out of the casting call. I didn't hear anything. I was like, okay. They wanted me to read the script and I blew it. So gone.
Mhm.
Well, about a week after the International Ms. Pageant, I got an Instagram message that said, hey, you auditioned for this thing a little bit ago. A year ago. Yeah, a little bit ago, and your Romanian phone number is off. And I go, oh my gosh, yes, I'm in the United States. I'm sorry about that. But you reached me here at Instagram.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for that. Yes, I'm here. We started taking the meetings, interviews, things like that. Now, mind you, I still had to get back to Europe and I was planning
Yeah.
a road trip up to Sweden to visit a pageant sister of mine. And I mean, a lot of stuff was happening before I could come back to Romania. So I said, please bear with me. I'm going to get there as soon as possible. So I did. I traveled back to Europe. I went on this road trip. I got back to Timișoara, 3 days later, I got back in my car, and then it's a 7-hour drive over to the
Right.
capital. And then, so I had 3 days at home after being in the United States for 2 months. And then I went over to the capital and boom, started the job, which is an amazing job, by the way. It's really cool motion capture work. So my body was kind of all like crooked from traveling, but then I had to wear this like suit and this helmet
I
thing
saw
that
that
held.
on your Instagram. It's not the most
Yeah,
flattering suit, is it? Looks like is it a mocap suit and you're wearing like a GoPro thing on your head? You look like an alien with a little antennae on
yeah,
the top.
yeah, that's exactly it. I have these really funny photos actually. They brought over a tripod with like a little pole on it so I could set the thing down and my neck wouldn't be holding it up anymore. It was ridiculous, but it worked. It worked. I'm very grateful.
That's an amazing story. So, I mean, obviously there's a lot of acting going on in Los Angeles. That's where it's almost stereotypical to say that's where if you want to start acting, that's where you got to go, and you work your side hustle, or you work as a waitress on the side, waiting for your big break. So,
Yeah.
let me ask, how did you end up in Romania? So obviously there was this casting call, but is that when you moved to Romania, or did you move to Romania prior to that?
No, I'm actually celebrating in 2 days. I am celebrating 3 years in Romania.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That's my reaction too. In 2019, I had just produced 2 feature films in Los Angeles. And I had an engagement that broke up there. And I said, you know what? I am going to do exactly what I was going to do before I met him. And that was go backpacking in Europe.
Yep.
So I put all of my stuff into a storage in Los Angeles and I came to Northern Europe. I want to say it was October 2019. And I traveled through Denmark and Sweden. I did a lot of those little like islands up there, which were so cool, so beautiful. And it was the end of the season. So all the leaves were changing and you could go like mushroom hunting in the forest. I mean, it was just magical. It was so cool. I really loved the experience. But as I was traveling, I knew I wanted to get down to Bulgaria
Right.
because I had some film contacts there. So I said, okay, the destination eventually is Bulgaria, but right now I'm just gonna use my visa free days. I know that I get 90 days in Schengen, and then Romania, I get a separate 90 days. Bulgaria, I get another 90 days. I was trying
Right.
to avoid the whole visa thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go and be free and whatever. But then so that's what it was. When I was in Sweden, I was on a website called Workaway,
Hmm.
and I found this amazing. They match people that want to trade kind of work. Like if you want to go work as a receptionist at a hostel or something, they put you up for free. You work a couple hours, you work a couple more hours, you get some food. It's kind of like
Okay.
a
Yep.
trade thing.
Yep.
Very cool website. I hope it's still in existence after COVID. Who knows? Um, but I found an amazing opportunity. There was a guy and a family that were building a children's library in a village in Romania. And they needed someone to come and document the process and help them with their fundraising media.
Mm.
Um, and they were offering, again, this kind of exchange of the crazy thing was I was traveling through Sweden and his job, the one who's building this library, is in Sweden, in Stockholm. So we actually took an in-person meeting and I said,
Right.
okay, if we're going to do this, I want to make a documentary about it. You know what I mean? You get the footage, I get the footage. We can both create something out of it. He loved it. I said, okay, I want to get the backstory.
Hmm.
So when's the next time you're going to Romania? And he said, Christmas 2019. I said, okay. This all my stories are always interrupted with travel. So I'm in Sweden, but then I have to fly back to Los Angeles because I had a film premiere. So I went to Los Angeles for like a week and a half, and then I flew
Uh-huh.
back to Sweden. Meantime, I went to Poland before Los Angeles. I bought a car in Poland because there wasn't enough room in his car. So I bought a car in Poland, and then I drove it to Sweden, and then I flew to Los Angeles, and then I flew back to Sweden, and then we tailgated down from Sweden to Romania in the thick of winter over the
Ooh,
Tatran Mountains.
Swedish winter. That's something else.
Yeah, yeah. And then over this huge mountain range in, Central Europe, Central Eastern Europe. It was snowing. I don't know how my car did it. I found out later that if you lifted the floor mat of this car, there was kind of like a hole that you could see the ground.
Okay.
I mean, to be fair, I bought the car for like $1,000 and I just needed it to get me from
Yeah.
Romania or from Sweden to Romania because you can't take a rental car across that border. You can only
Sure.
keep it in Schengen.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I have to buy a car. Okay, so that's literally how I got to Romania 3 years ago, Christmas Eve. And then we shot the backstory of this documentary during Christmas. We visited the site. I had a director of photography with me. He came back with me to Sweden and joined me on the whole trip to help me capture it. We had
Right.
a bunch of GoPros and other equipment and stuff. So yeah, it was really cool. I want to add. So I got to Romania and I was like, oh geez, okay, we filmed this and maybe I shouldn't keep going to Bulgaria. Maybe I should get a job a little bit, do like a little bit of work before
Yeah.
I keep going. And I ended up auditioning for a dance company and I got a job with a touring show. And that's how I ended up staying in Romania because I was going to keep
Right.
going, right? But I ended
Yeah.
up staying. We were in rehearsals for this dance company, and then everything got shut down. And then I was really
Yeah.
staying, and then I had to get a visa anyway.
Yeah. I was going to say, just timing wise, I mean, you'd never plan it like that, but when you were traveling back from Sweden down to Romania, that was right before COVID hit most of the Western world and everyone, because we didn't have a vaccine at that time, and it was killing well, not millions, thousands of people, and the whole world shut down. So I don't know what COVID was like where you were at. I mean, you were in different countries. What kind of happened? Because it sounded like you were conducting life at a manic pace. And then it must have gone from 100 miles an hour to maybe zero, depending on how big the lockdown was. So, what
Yeah.
happened when COVID hit where you were at?
Oh man, it was rough here. It was really rough. It, it wasn't rough as in like I saw people getting sick all over the place. It
Mhm.
was rough more in like I mean, nobody knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Um, but slowly this would shut down and that would shut down until it only took maybe a week, 2 weeks
Mm.
until, and now I'm keep in mind I'm pushing my 90 days at this point because we're
Yeah.
in March, 90 days visa free. So now
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
in March. Um, and I have my application for the visa in at this point. But then, just as I'm supposed to be getting my ID, my permission to stay,
Mm.
um, everything shut down. And I'm talking about to the point where, in order to leave the house and go to the grocery store, you needed to print out a form and have it filled out and signed. And there would
Wow.
be checkpoints every couple blocks where you actually have to show this to
Jeez.
the police. So now
Okay.
here I'm thinking about my Polish $1,000 car, which does, I mean, I got into the country, so the papers were good, but those papers plus my passport that now I'm overstaying my stay, plus this piece of paper. And I mean, the fines were a decent sized fine too if you're
Sure.
going out of lockdown for no reason. So I was just terrified. Like I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I just stayed inside the whole time, more scared of like, I don't know, more scared of being deported, maybe like
Mm.
found and deported or something than even of the disease itself because
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of people suffering from COVID at that point because we did shut down.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a strange time here.
I'm surprised to hear the lockdowns were so, I mean, having to print out a piece of paper and to get through police checkpoints even in Australia, we didn't have that string. I mean, we did have police out at one stage, but not
Mhm.
printing out pieces of paper. So when that happened, obviously being so creative, and you are used to, I imagine, living life at, as I said, 1,000 miles an hour. How did you make it through those sort of 2 or 3 years? I mean, so moved from you've gone from the US to
Mhm.
now you're in Romania. You're about to
Mhm.
start all these projects, and then the
Mhm.
whole world shut down. It wasn't just Romania, it wasn't just Europe, it wasn't America. The whole world just basically stopped.
Yeah.
Um, how long did it take before, I don't know, you adapted, or before things sort of got back to normal?
Yeah. I do want to, first of all, acknowledge that I did have privilege through the lockdown, just financially. I had gotten out of the apartment and all of that, so I had my storage that I was paying for.
Mm,
I didn't really have a lot of other bills. Living expenses in Romania are very, very low.
yeah,
So I didn't face the challenge of how am I going to still pay my rent. I think if I was in Los Angeles and the industry shut down like that, I would have just absolutely, oh my God. I mean, I
yeah,
think I would
sure,
have been able to make it work, but I was really lucky that I didn't need to do something else. Like I didn't need to
yeah,
in order to pay the bills and survive.
sure,
Um, and I don't know if that would have inspired me, like, because sometimes you just need that kick in the pants, and then
yeah,
okay, fine, I'll figure it out and make it work. So I can't tell you if it would have gone any differently for me. I can't tell you if I would have found that creative drive just out of pure necessity. um but just in general, yeah, the I thought to myself, okay, well, if I can't go to rehearsals, then maybe I'll like do something around the house. So I was such a craft person growing up, and I make jewelry and things like that. And I had makeup that I wanted to play with, and I would like turn on TikTok for like 3 videos and be like, oh, that's so cool. I want to do that. How do I make resin? Oh yeah, I don't even is resin in Romania? I I've never seen a craft store. Oh wait, I'm not allowed to go outside. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna make resin art. Like it was just like every idea I thought I had was just not worth it at all.
right. That very much
Yeah.
sounds like most of us during 2020. That's when we all discovered TikTok, and we spent way too much time on it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, where does pageantry come into it? So normally I begin an interview with this question, but it's how
Okay.
did you get involved in pageantry to begin with? Because it sounds like it's obviously interwoven somehow into your manic life.
Very much so, very much so. I love my pageant story. I do remember growing up and just watching Miss Universe or Miss USA, and just, one day that'll be me. One day, not understanding, like still being a kid, and not understanding, at least at that time, what the beauty standards were. And had I been of age at that time, I mean, I'm 5'2" so I'm petite. Let's just put it that way. Tiny but mighty. And I'm working really, we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. The point is that I started, I want to say in 2014. 2014. Yeah, sure, sure. Go with it. And I guess in Pennsylvania, because I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I had never heard of any, this is how you start. This
Yeah,
is, I didn't know about any preliminaries. I didn't know about any of that. When I got out to California and I was going through Craigslist looking for my next big acting break, I saw a couple Miss California USA calls.
on
And for a
Craigslist.
couple,
I've
yeah,
I've
Craigslist.
I've
I
done
mean,
hundreds of interviews, Elizabeth. I never heard of a pageant journey beginning on Craigslist before. That's
it's
a first.
true.
Oh my
It's
god.
true. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, because this was back in like 2011. I want to say I had started talking to them
Right.
about competing, maybe 2011 or so, because I was 23, 24, I don't know, something like that. But I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then I just wasn't in the right place. Didn't do it.
Yeah.
Next year, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like I keep seeing it on Craigslist every year. And so, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then finally, whatever aging out was at that time, I think it was 26. I think
Yeah.
in
I think
2014.
something like that. Yeah.
I was like, I have to do it. I absolutely positively must do it. I'm gonna like lose this opportunity. So I went down to Long Beach. That's where they were having the California
Right.
USA like orientation, or it wasn't orientation because it wasn't pageant week yet. It was one of those like meetings, like recruitment orientation meetings, something like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I went in and everybody had like paid their deposits already. I kind of like went in and I was like, I'm not paying yet. Let me see what this is all about. And I go inside and all of a sudden they're talking about empowerment and they're talking about leadership and they're talking about sisterhood and
Mhm.
sorority in a sense. And I go, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I thought we were just here to like explore another side of ourselves, the fancy
Yeah.
side. Let's go be
Yeah.
fancy. Um, and then I was like, oh my gosh, this very well may be the sorority I never had
Right.
in college, because I always kind of wanted that. There are certain things that I want to like tick, like for example, the Olympics. Like I would still like to compete at the Olympics one day, speed skating one day,
Okay.
one day. You know, hey, and this is what I used to say about pageantry, because from that point forward, over the next couple of years, I learned about MS pageantry because I
Right.
aged out of Miss. I thought,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm done. This was my only chance. What am I going to do? You know, I really found something. And then, oh, Ms. pageants, older. Okay, we're not suffering from ageism in these.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We're not suffering from, stereotypes against married women or women with
Yeah.
children. Wow,
Mhm.
this is amazing. This is actually more in line with redefining beauty and me and my experience and all of that. And I actually started doing a lot of international pageants because of that.
Right.
A lot of those are Ms. and they allow older contestants. Tourism pageants, love tourism pageants. So I actually went, I think within the first 2 years, I went from not even close to placing at California USA to representing USA at tourism pageants
Mhm.
internationally, um, which is why I still think the Olympics have hope. Because once I put my mind to it, it's like, okay, I'm going to dedicate. I'm going to understand this. I'm going to
Yeah.
understand the rules of this game, and I'm going to play this game. And the thing about pageantry is that it's so much more than a game.
Mhm.
Whatever you give to it, it gives back to you tenfold.
Mhm.
And that's what keeps me in pageantry to this very day.
When when you said so you read on Craigslist, that still boggles my mind, but you went to this first pageant that was recruiting. This bearing in mind that that's about 8 years ago, and pageantry is always evolving. It's always becoming more inclusive in terms of age, height restrictions, etc., etc., etc. I got to think like when you're 5'2" and you walk in to the California USA system, I got to think that you're surrounded by 5'8", 5'10", bronzed, in heels. What was there a difference between what you saw at California USA at that time, and then when you started competing internationally in tourism pageants in the Ms divisions? It
Mm.
almost sounds like, and I don't know if it's quite accurate, but it sounds like there were more opportunities for you at that time internationally than maybe in the States itself. Is that fair to say?
Well, first of all, when I walked into California, USA, I wasn't um, as good of a person as I am now. So I walked in late and everybody was sitting. So I couldn't tell what their height was anyway.
Okay.
So that was one thing. But then actually, I love that you brought this up because my first pageant was an international tourism. My first international pageant was a
Hmm.
tourism pageant in Sri Lanka,
Wow. Okay.
and I was recommended through a Mrs. Pageant director. She recommended me out, and I was kind of doing the emailing back and forth, and then I sent in my measurements, and then I didn't hear anything. I said, oh no, I would like to hear back. So I wrote again and I still didn't hear anything. And then I wrote again and they said, well, we're considering your application and all of that. And I don't I don't remember what I did. I must have said, for some reason it sticks in my brain. I talked about redefining beauty, which is my platform. I feel like I brought it up in the interview. I don't know. I said something along the lines of, listen, I understand that your minimum height is 5'6", and I
Hmm.
am 5'2", which is well below that. But this is an opportunity for you and your pageant. It's an opportunity for me. And if we work together, it's an opportunity for so many more people
Yeah.
as time goes on. Um, and then I got there, and it was really funny because I was shorter than everybody else, but there was one other contestant that, because it came up. It
Mm.
came up between the contestants, and I owned up to it right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not 5'6", but I worked really hard to be here.
Yeah.
Um, and another contestant who was maybe an inch taller than me, a couple centimeters at most.
Right.
And she goes, oh, yeah, no, no, I'm definitely 5'6". And everybody just kind of looked at her like, there's no, like, we're all here now. They're not going to send you home if
Yeah.
you're not honest about this at this point. So, yeah, at times it's begging and pleading and just showing people that if if we don't do it, who's going to?
Mm.
We have to make this choice so that next time it's not even a question.
Yeah.
That's how we
I,
change it.
I mean, you mentioned redefining beauty is your platform, and I have to say, I have some fairly, after interviewing so many pageant contestants, I have some fairly strong opinions about certain restrictions, and I don't believe they should be there because I feel they're very outdated. So age is one in particular, only because, especially in this day and age, you could be 30 or 40 living your best life. Children is another. I don't, and
Mhm.
married is another. I mean, if you define yourself through your marriage and well, you could, then that's great. But if you have other facets to your personality, then more power to you. And it just seems to me that, when pageants say, oh, you have to be 5'6", my question is why? It's not modeling, it's pageantry. And then you have to be under 28. So 27 years, 364 days, I'm okay. But when I hit 28, suddenly I'm not. And then, oh, you have to be married, single. Like, whose business is that? Like,
Yeah,
I couldn't think of any job occupation or any competition where a man gets asked, are you married? And if you're married, you can't compete. So,
yeah,
how do you feel about these kind of restrictions? And I'm asking because you said you're talking about redefining beauty. And I feel a lot of these restrictions, arbitrary restrictions, really get in the way of that because it's like saying, "Oh, if you're 28 years old, you're no longer beautiful because you're too old." Basically, is a message, which I think is a horrific message. But how many of these limits have you sort of butted up against?
yeah. Well, I mean, you even think about that in Hollywood too.
Mm,
Look at the women and who they're playing opposite to. You have a woman that looks maybe mid 30s and a
mhm.
man that's like looking like he's 60s. He's
Yeah,
all white and scraggly
yeah,
and
yeah,
like I got those like brooding eyes and you know.
yeah.
So like it's it's in our media, it's everywhere. And for
That's true.
me, ageism has been a thing my whole life.
Right.
I have always like I have makeup on now, which like helps. But when I take this off, people still put me at about 22, which again, if I was a man, then sure, fine, whatever, maybe
Exactly.
he's coming into his own. But as a woman and as a young looking woman, I'm disregarded twofold. And that's a huge problem. So as I was growing up, I always pretended to be older.
Mm.
And I didn't wear makeup a lot. I didn't try to use that as a thing, but with my intelligence, I could
Mm.
out-talk, outsmart anybody. I would know every single fallacy. I'm sorry, what you're saying right now is not coherent because of this,
Mhm.
this, and this reason. And I got so in my head, and also I have a little bit of stubbornness passed down.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, had to out talk my way or talk my way into the
Mm.
room or to the table. But I
Yeah.
will say that my 30th birthday, I stopped caring. I stopped caring about everything. And I don't know, I guess for me, it was just some sort of relief that
Mm.
just personal reassurance that, like, okay, I had pretended I knew what I was talking about for so long. Now I have the years to show I have the experience. I have the number to show that I have the experience, which I guess I kind of fell back on a little bit. But anyway, regardless, the ageism is so very true. And just being taken seriously, especially in this environment,
Mhm.
where there's not a lot of producers in Romania, and there's certainly not a lot of female producers.
Right.
So when I walk into the room, it's, oh, what is this little girl? I even got feedback when I went into a meeting. I got feedback. Oh, when you first started talking, I thought, oh, what is this naive girl talking about? I think I had like blue hair then too. So like, oh, maybe I was.
Okay.
But
Casually.
that's just my creativity. Come on, I can have blue hair and be taken seriously.
What?
That's another thing. That's what we're talking about, right? However we want to express ourselves. If I feel comfortable and confident walking into a meeting with absolutely no makeup, then so be it. I shouldn't have to paint my face to be taken seriously. I like to wear makeup when I'm on the screen. I like to wear makeup when I'm on the stage. Makeup in my everyday life, not so much. I maybe that's why I look so young. Maybe that's why my skin looks so young. Who knows? Um, I digress. So we were talking about all of the different things of redefining beauty that we run up against. Height is definitely another one of them,
Mhm.
especially when I got here to Romania. I started applying for all of the things. I was looking for acting jobs, I was looking for modeling jobs, and I would apply to these modeling agencies, and I would also apply to the pageant.
Yeah.
But they were kind of like fashion show pageants, kind of like a grand slam, and then they, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I was actually eligible or not, but regardless, I applied to a runway show here
Mm.
for Fashion Week, and I sent them all of my runway photos from all of the pageants and any other modeling that I had done. And they just said, no, 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 you're not tall enough. No, you're too old. You're too old for the runway and not tall enough. Well, that's just absolutely crazy. And then I come to find out that pageantry here in Romania, the way that the girls get into it
Mm.
are from their modeling agents. So there's
Right.
actually no access that's people are aware of, because people in Romania can't really pay those at-large fees. Those are really,
Sure.
really high fees for people here in
Yeah.
Romania. So even if they had that information, there's the cost barrier. But more importantly, there's the glass ceiling of if you can't be picked up by a modeling agency, which means you need to have the height, you need to have the age, you need to have the
Yep.
look, then you can't even get into pageantry at all,
Yeah.
which is just like mind blowing to me. Because if I had to enter pageantry through modeling, I would have never been allowed in, especially back then.
Sure.
So that's something that I'm working really hard to change here, to give people knowledge and access and say, no, actually, that's one part of my mission with my company is to popularize platform-based pageantry.
Mm.
So we're now highlighting the women who want to come in and do work in their community. We're highlighting women that want to be mentors. Because I have some feelings about teen pageantry. I'm a little on the fence about
Sure.
that.
Yep.
I I like more of like a mentorship program. So you
Yeah.
have the older women who are mentoring them, and then when they get to that competition age, then maybe that's a better time.
Hmm.
There's also a lot of bullying here that goes on in the schools in Romania. So just adding that competition element, I don't think is what
Right.
needs to happen. Um, so yeah, it's a big thing for me here. That was why in 2021 I competed in Miami and I
Hmm.
won Miss World International 2021. That was the first time I represented Romania. So I brought that international crown home. And
Yeah.
then this year I went and I competed at International Ms, also representing Romania, and I brought that international crown home.
Hmm.
So now I have this basis underneath me to say, no, listen, my headshot was done by a purely Romanian team. That was 10% of my final score. My video was all about Romania. That was also 10% of my final score. Just my team in general, my runway, I won best runway at International Miss. And that was a traditional Romanian costume. We call them costumes. It's a dress.
Hmm.
But beautiful, beautiful, with white braids in my hair and a designer specifically from this region, which is called Banat, which is the
Hmm.
western part of Romania, and it includes a little bit of Serbia and a tiny, tiny bit of Hungary as well.
Right.
So these designs came from this particular region, and I won best runway. So I brought this international crown back to say, listen, if I can do it, you can do it. And if you work with me, I'm going to put you out there for any and all opportunities. We're gonna figure out how to pay for it. And we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna
Hmm.
do it from the ground up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you found, because you mentioned it sounds like the Romanian pageant industry is quite different, certainly to how pageantry is in America at this day and age. Maybe it's a little bit like behind the times in some ways. Have you found that, given the two international crowns that you brought back now to Romania and really representing Romania, um, have you had any discussions with people in the pageant industry in Romania, like how they feel it's been received? Have they sort of taken notice of it, or do you feel like it's a bit of an uphill battle to sort of get the recognition, particularly for platform-based pageantry versus more the modeling-based side of pageantry, which it sounds like that's more prolific in Romania?
Yeah.
I
I've
think that
reached
answers my
out.
question. The look on your face, I think, answers my question.
Yeah, yeah, I have. I've reached out, and I've worked with people that some of the well-known title holders here. For example, the photographer who did my official headshot
Hmm.
is based in the capital, and he's done prior Romania Universe contestants headshots as
Sure.
well. And he says, do you know this person? I said, no, she doesn't talk to me. I tried, but
Yeah.
so no. And I think about this because I get asked, well, would you like one of the franchises? Like, would you direct one of the larger franchises for Romania?
Right.
And i I don't know. I mean, it really depends, because I'm thinking, first of all, I believe in competition. Let me say that. I love competition. I would love 10 more pageant directors to come here, to be completely honest. I would love 10 more modeling coaches and pageant coaches to come here and to compete for business.
Mhm.
I love that
Yeah.
because it brings it brings awareness to the industry. And
Yeah.
absolutely no one is going to do it like I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to do it like any of them are going to do it. So it's not that I'm stealing other people's contestants or that they're stealing my contestants.
Yeah.
I don't see that kind of competition that way. And I don't see it with the current systems that are here in Romania. So it's not that I want to come in and undo what they're doing or redo what they're doing or take what they're doing and make it mine. I want to expand the industry
Yeah.
because the people that I want aren't necessarily the people that want to compete in the modelly pageants. You know what I mean? They're not concerned about the runway. They're concerned about their interview, how they hold themselves, how they believe in themselves, how they represent themselves in their country.
Mm.
So that's kind of the differentiation that I make with that. It's about expanding the industry, and I hope that it's not one of those things where people just aren't getting interested in it, and so it is people just floating from over there to over here, because that's not what I want. That's not
Yeah.
the point of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I think the only way you really find out is by putting yourself out there. And I think, where there's a will, there's a way, so to speak, and you try a few different things. I think there's a reason that platform-based pageantry has really taken off, and that's because people have realized, yes, it's great to look pretty, but that's only a start. It's great to be young and pretty. It's only a start. It's like, what are you actually going to use? Because everyone, as we've already talked about, influencers, and you and I
Mhm.
are both probably, let's say, we've lived enough years that we remember what the world was like before social media and
Yeah.
before influencers became a thing. And if you want to become an influencer, and being young and pretty certainly helps with that, more power to you. But for me, it's always been like, what are you actually going to use that influence for? So, okay, now you've got the platform. What are you going to use it for? And I think that really is the big question for me. It differentiates a great queen from just another queen. But on that topic, what are your plans? I mean, we've talked about a lot of varied things. Do you have any other plans specifically for your reign as international Ms?
Yes, I am getting ready to go to the United States just to spend New Year's with my mom, which will be really nice. And then I'm heading down to Miss Earth USA. I'm going to
Hmm.
help out there backstage. I'm also really excited because I have a photo shoot with one of the photographers that I have just been dreaming of working with in
Which
Orlando.
one? Which one?
Um, I don't know. I kind of want to keep it as a surprise. You
Okay.
guys have to follow me, and then I'll show some BTS in January. How about that? Can I do that? Can I tease like that?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You can do that. Keep everyone
Okay.
intrigued. Yeah,
Yes, I love it. I love it.
I should point out that obviously the director of International Ms is the same as Miss Earth USA,
Yes.
so Laura
Yes.
Clark. When are you going to be flying over? Because I've been interviewing a lot of the girls, and a lot of them are heading there either New Year's Eve or New Year's. So when are you going to be heading over there?
Well, I'm going to be landing in Pennsylvania. My family home is in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I'll be
Okay.
there on the 28th. And then I'm flying down to Florida on the 3rd.
Okay.
Yes, the 3rd.
Uh, just before we move towards the final 10 questions, you fly so much.
Yeah.
Do you have any flying tips for, because for me, I'm planning on traveling quite a lot next year, and flying from Australia, the minimum flight investment in hours is probably 20 hours or something like that. Do you have any just general travel tips for me, or just for pageant queens traveling in general, how you can travel that much or fly that much and still arrive relatively refreshed and not wanting to kill the world?
Oh gosh, no, I'm always jet lagged.
Okay, give me some tips. Help me out here, Elizabeth. How do you travel so much and still stay
No, I'm
sane?
like, I'm totally miserable when it comes to flying. I don't like, I used to love it. I used to,
Good.
my face used to like get one of those like red marks on the forehead because I just be looking out the window the whole time.
Uh-huh.
But now as I'm getting older, I'm getting motion sickness. And I don't know. It's either I sleep from the time they
Hmm.
turn the engines on to the time we hit the ground,
Yeah.
or I watch like 5 movies. I don't know how. It's just like, okay, good. I'm either
Yeah.
awake or no, just take the food. I don't just
Yeah.
take the food. I don't want it. Um, I don't figure out if you're an an aisle person or a window person.
Mhm.
That's really important, I think, and it's okay if it changes. Because again, I used to be a window person, but now I'm an
I'm an
aisle
aisle
person
person now because I can get
because
to
I
the
go to the
bathroom without
bathroom
having to
more.
get. Yeah, there you go. You see? I mean,
Yeah,
also you're 5'2". I'm almost a foot taller than you. So
yeah.
getting over someone when you're that tall and you smack your head when you stand up on those bloody air conditioning vents, and then the person underneath doesn't, maybe they're asleep. So then you're
Yeah.
trying to get over them without waking them up, and you sort of going, oh, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
I love traveling and I love planes, but I hate being stuck in that seat for that long without being able to do anything. And I can't sleep on the plane. I just
No.
can't. So then I do like the 5 movie things, but then I just get so bored because it's like, okay, one movie, all right, fine. Oh, here's a movie I wanted to watch. Second
Yeah.
movie, it's like, eh. And then the third movie is only because I have nothing else to do. And I just get
Yeah.
so bored. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. And I'm also glad I'm not the only one who's moved from window seat to aisle seat. So I was
Yeah.
telling my travel agent when I went to Texas in July, it's like aisle seat. I got lucky. I traveled business class, so everyone is basically a window seat and an aisle seat at the same time, and that
Yeah.
was the best. Flying like that, it was the
Yes.
first time I got to lie down. But I'm glad I'm not the only one who
Yeah.
struggles with
Absolutely.
flights and jet lag. Dear me.
And
Although I think
drink water.
yeah,
Drink lots of water before,
yeah.
during, maybe not during, because then you'll have to go to the bathroom more, and
But that's
after.
why we
But
sit. That's why we sit in the aisle seats.
in the aisle.
That's the thing that's another thing that annoys me about flying. They won't let you take your water on the plane, and then when you get on the plane, depending on the airline you fly with, they won't give you a lot of water. You say, "Oh, can I have water?
Yeah.
100 ml cup. Oh, can I
Yeah.
have water again?" Because I tend to drink like half a liter at a time, and I tell them like, you can either bring me 5 cups and I can annoy you, or just give me the bottle and let's just have this one and done.
That's so funny. That reminds me of this one experience I had. I don't know what it was. I was just like not feeling the cup thing. I was like, do you have a bottle? Like I need a bottle
Yeah,
with
me too.
a cap. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know I don't know what it was. And I see something down there. Hi, Ralph.
Ralph. Yeah,
And I say,
Ralph is
hi,
just saying see you over
hi,
his
see you. um, and I don't know what it was, but I felt compelled. I said, can I just have a bottle with a cap this time? I don't want an open cup.
Yeah.
And she said, sorry, I don't have it. And I said, okay, fine, whatever.
Okay.
Was I traveling? I may have been traveling with my dog. I think my dog was underneath me in my seat.
Mhm.
And he's a service animal. So he's big. He's like
Mm.
26 kilos.
Mm.
And don't tell the airline that. I usually say like 19, he's all hair. But anyway, so he was under my feet. And I feel like I was like off balance or whatever. So anyway, give me a bottle with a cap on it. No, I only have a cup. So then she comes back and she's now doing the food, right? We got our drinks,
Yeah.
now it's food. And I had the cup in my hand or something, and I like, I don't know if you can see this, I like bent over to do something with the dog, and just like my hand just got lazy. I don't know what happened. It got lazy and it poured the water all down the back of her leg in the aisle. And she turns around and she goes, oh, what was that? And I go, oh my God, I'm sorry, that's the water, but maybe you should have given me a bottle.
So
I just,
what I've taken from this is that next time someone tells me I can't have the bottle is to pour the water over them and say, you should have given me a bottle. That's what I'm taking from this, Elizabeth. Moral of the story. But I mean,
sure,
can we just be honest for a second? I mean, I don't have a bottle. Where are they pouring the water from?
right?
You're on a
Right?
plane. It's not a tap. I mean, come on.
And then she gives me my food tray and there's a bottle of water. It's a mini bottle of water.
I'm saying, like, you think I'm blind or stupid or both? Like, I'm just curious.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Next time I'm flying on a plane, if they won't give me a bottle of water, I'm just going to take the cup and pour it over their head and say, "This is what Elizabeth told me to do. Give me my bottle of water now." Uh, see how that goes.
You'll live to regret this. I mean,
Did you,
poor
did,
girl.
did you actually get the bottle of water after pouring the water on the flight stewardess?
Well, okay, first of all, I didn't do it deliberately. Second of all, it came with my dinner. So,
Okay.
yes, I guess I asked for it prematurely, and I just should have like said no to the cup and then just taken the bottle with the tray because I knew it was coming on the tray. I saw it on other people's trays. That's why I asked for it because I saw
Yeah.
it with my eyes and I knew it existed.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes on these flights, I just feel like common sense is not there. But anyway, just before we get to the final 10, Elizabeth, is there anyone that you
Yes.
would like to give a shout out to?
Oh my goodness. Well, this was a question I wasn't prepared for. I would like to say hi to my mom. I always want to say hi to my mom. Um, she doesn't watch YouTube and she doesn't have Facebook, so she'll probably never see this, but I want to tell her that I love her. And I'm excited to see her. Um, I want to give a shout out to my sister queens, our Mrs. USA, International Mrs. USA, and International Ms. USA, Whitley and Symphony. I am very grateful. We just did our first live this past weekend, and I think it was a really big success. And I'm really excited to continue our reign together. And I'm going to be seeing both of them in Florida as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll be reunited. Shout out to my sister queens always. Shout out to my director, Laura Clark, for just everything. Just being there when I have questions, and then also like not being there when I just want to go and do things, and just trusting me with the title. That's what I mean.
Mm,
Because I know she's always there, but then she lets me, she lets me have my reign, and I'm very grateful for that trust. That means a lot, to have a director say,
yeah.
do it, do it, just
Yep.
represent. So I'm super grateful for that. Um, all of my like I have like Romanian parents and like Mexican parents and just all these different parental figures from around the world.
Hmm.
And I love them. I love their guidance and everything that they've given me, and the support, and just knowing that I can call them anytime. I'm really grateful for that. And everyone, just everyone. Can we take a moment and celebrate the winter solstice and the fact that today was the first day that we're getting more light? Oh, wait,
You can't
no,
do that with me.
not for
No,
you, but
that's terrible. You now reminded me that from now on the days are getting shorter. Why would you do that?
oh
That's
no,
terrible.
oh, I
And I am
forgot.
very much a summer person. I do not like winter. Whenever I ask people, do you prefer summer or winter? Anyone who answers winter, I'm just like, what's wrong with you? Because here it's like not even winter you can go skiing in. It's just cold and miserable and damp. So good for
Oh,
you. But now I'm
I'm
going to be in
sorry.
mourning for the rest of today. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, 22nd of December, isn't it? Oh, damn it.
Yeah,
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 dear
that's
me.
it. But it's okay. The sun is still shining for a long time. You have like a month or two, right, before you. How short, can I
Yeah,
ask you, like, how short do your days get when you're in the dead of
yeah. So
winter?
I'm based in Sydney, so the shortest when it gets to the shortest, you're probably talking about the sun coming up at 7, a little bit after 7 in the morning, and then
Mhm.
setting about 5 p.m. So that's the shortest day. The longest day, which I guess is now, would be sun's up just before 6. It's peaking up at about 5:30 in the morning, and then it's probably 8 p.m. So those are the biggest extremes. I've always been curious to go to a place where it's like at the longest day it's 24 hours sunlight, and then the worst day is 24 hours pitch blackness. Not that I would want to live there, but I was just telling one of my other American friends that I love living in Australia, just especially after COVID. I certainly don't take it for granted anymore, but I do love summer. So the only thing I'm thinking of doing is during the winter here, maybe move somewhere that's hot. And she was suggesting Florida. So I don't know. I would love a year round summer. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Shall we get to these final 10? So
Yes, I have to do a cough really quick. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. Poo poo. Yes, that's what I need.
and she's got a bottle right there, no cups. Okay. Please don't pour it on someone whilst you're there.
No cups. No cups.
Glass of water, always important. Stay hydrated.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we've been on for a while, so let's zip through this. Otherwise, I'm going to have you on for like 2 hours. Um, so Final 10 questions. Number
Yes.
one, what is your favorite word?
Love.
It's nice. Number two, what is your least favorite word?
Ooh, hate.
Number three, in life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
I love my dog. I mentioned him before. His name is Teddy, and he's so fluffy and he's so sweet and he's so well behaved because I love training him. We get a lot of joy out of it. So yeah, my dog makes me really happy.
So that's what turns you on. Question four is what turns you off?
um, ooh. Not being able to figure out what I'm hungry for. Like you're hungry and it's time to eat, but like, what do I have like the biggest appetite for?
Do you have a favorite food? I mean, it's a pageant interview, so I feel like I'd be remiss if I don't ask about food at least once. So what's your favorite
That's
food?
true. Hands down sushi.
How's the
Period.
sushi in Romania? Do you get sushi in Romania?
Yes, but I'm used to California
I was,
fusion
yeah,
sushi. I love that baked salmon roll, I don't even remember what it's called anymore. B B S B B.
yes.
I'm gonna
That's a terrible
backing
sushi
myself
roll.
into a corner with this. The baked scallop, something or other. I like the baked rolls with like the mayo and the eel sauce,
Yeah,
you know. But here, no. The closest I get are like tempura rolls, which are really
okay,
nice.
yeah,
Um, but again, it's different. Like from Timisoara to the capital, two
sure,
totally different
yeah,
availabilities. I think when I first came to Timisoara 3 years ago, there were like two sushi
yeah,
places. And now that we're getting ready for the capital of culture, there's like
a lot more.
7.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
a little more option. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if you ever come to Australia, come to Sydney, there's like a new sushi bar just opened up next to me. There's probably like 5 sushi bars within walking distance of me. So if you like sushi and you love seafood, you have to come to Australia. I promise you, we do it better than anyone else, including California. Sorry, Californians, but we just have
Goodness.
so much seafood here, you won't believe it.
Them is
And
fighting words.
I can live off sushi. Oh, it's fighting words, but I'm happy to back it. Like if you come here and you see like a couple of weekends ago, we had lunch at the fish markets here in Sydney, which is an international tourist attraction now. And it's
Whoa.
fresh fish and chips. So you want sushi, you want lobster, crab, fresh fish,
Oh,
everything, everything. Now I'm getting
yeah.
hungry. Let's move on. Question five.
Wait,
What
I have a
sound?
question. Can I
Yes,
interrupt your questions for a
sure.
question because we're talking about Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, have you seen the new season of Down to Earth with Zac Efron? Are you aware of this show? Because it's all over Australia and he goes to like these really interesting, cool places. And it's like Zac Efron is like he cares.
Yes.
It's like walking into that pageant orientation and being like, wow, these people care. It was like watching that show and I was like, wow, Zac Efron cares. It was just that's beside the point. But it made me want to really, really, really come to Australia and to learn about it, and
Good.
just everything that's going on in that country in regard to climate change
Mm,
and what it's doing about it. And I mean, it highlights specific, farms and sustainable things and tribes, and
yeah.
it recognizes the indigenous people there and all of that. So I was so fascinated. I was like, this is one of the things that I absolutely must see before it goes away. So I guess
Good.
my question for you is like, do you, as a person living in Australia, are you aware of like the most endangered places in Australia? And have you gotten to see any of them?
Well, the big one is the Great Barrier Reef.
Hmm.
That one, because of ozone depletion, that one's been endangered for quite a long time. I don't know if it's rounded a corner because there have been a lot of efforts to preserve it. But I will say also you touched on the indigenous people here, and
Mhm.
you've made documentaries. That definitely a documentary to be made there.
Yeah.
But for anyone considering coming to Australia, what I would say is it's very different, certainly to America. Physically, we're the same size as America, but we've only got like 1/10 of the population, and we're
Mm.
the most urbanized country in the world, meaning that over 90% of our population live in only 3 cities, and they're
Wow.
all on the East Coast. There's Sydney, where I'm at, Melbourne, which is where the Australian Open is, Grand Prix, and things like that, and then
Mhm.
Brisbane, and then the rest of the center of the country. I mean, there was one farm that was, I remember because I was watching a Grand Tour special on Amazon Prime. There's a farm in the middle of Australia that's the size of some European countries, and it's one farm. So it's a very interesting country.
Wow.
Certainly as a filmmaker, there's certainly
Yeah.
lots of things to be made here. I don't think personally that we're quite as on board with climate things as we could be,
Mhm.
given how much of a healthy life that we live, lifestyle we have, near the
Mhm.
sea, the beach, sun, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
I think we're making some strides. I think we were, at least under the previous government, a little bit behind at times. I don't want to get too political, but
Sure.
hopefully we're catching up. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
Hopefully we all are. Hopefully we're all in it together because
That's
we
true.
are.
Well, we're all on the same planet, aren't we?
That's right.
Unless we can move to Mars. But I think that's a whiles off. All right, let's get back to it. Number 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Led Zeppelin music.
I can what Whole Lot of Love? That's the one that immediately comes into mind.
Yeah, that's a good one. Ramble On is my favorite.
Nice.
But
Number
like even more specifically, like when the needle drops on the record and then you hear the the classic rock, but like specifically Led Zeppelin, we're in a good place.
But the sound of the needle dropping is not something that anyone born in the last 20 years probably would know. I mean,
Oh
they still
gosh.
talk about let the needle drop, and I'm like, do you even know what that means? It's like, because, like, well, I mean, last time I played a vinyl, like, it would have been, what, God, must have been over 30 years ago. I mean, it's 2022. I mean, in 1992, there were already CDs. So, eh, we're
Yep.
showing, I'm showing my age now. Anyway, um,
Yeah, yep.
number 6, what sound or noise do you hate?
Hmm. What sound or noise do I hate? There is a family that lives upstairs, and this precious teenage girl is practicing on the piano a Christmas tune, and she has been learning this for the last month at all sorts of hours. And oh, bless her heart. I think she'll have the recital this weekend, and then we can drop it. But and I. That's the thing. I love the piano. I love it. I love music. I love people playing music with instruments. But it's dun 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 over and over and over again, and I just it doesn't help the Grinch side of me. If I can be honest.
I was wondering why you were beginning your answer by whispering. Now I know. Um, oh, you're gonna hate that song for the rest of your life. Question 7: if you could have any superpower, what would you pick and why?
I used to know the answer to this like that, but now I feel like maybe I'm a different person and I have to think about it. Okay, if I could have a superpower, what would I pick? You know what? I think it's going to be flying because then I don't have to depend on somebody.
To bring me water, to bring me bottles of water.
Yeah, yeah, and I could just like avoid the airport altogether. That would be great. I like this. Yeah, because now I'm
Yeah,
traveling a lot. So like, let me just fly my body and
yeah.
my three suitcases behind me.
You can send the suitcases some other way, but I'll certainly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll second the flying for exactly the
Nice,
same reasons.
nice.
Question 8: what job other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Okay, so I went back to school. I got my associates and then I moved to Los Angeles and then I established residency in Los Angeles and I could go back to school and get the grant there many years ago. So this is a Romanian hand gesture. So when you go like this, it means like way back. So
Okay. In
yeah.
Australia, that means we're drinking too much.
That's so funny. I love that. Yeah, so not this.
Throwing it over behind your shoulder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What was I saying now? I got
Well,
distracted.
the question is, what job would you most like to attempt? And you were saying how you got your associates
Yes,
back in LA.
yes, 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 yes. I went back to school, and because the first year for me wasn't working out with acting, and I didn't want to do the waitress thing, so I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go back to school to become the second uh, biggest actor that you can become, and one that makes a lot of money, and they're called lawyers. And I took I went back I went back and I get into like my first like pre-law class, I don't
Yeah.
know, some constitution something, and they're like, and by Wednesday, it's Monday, by Wednesday, we expect you to have these 55 pages read and, prepare a dissertation on, something, I'm exaggerating, but it was something like that. And I go, yeah, no, I'm going to go hang out in the dance studio. I don't even remember if I dropped the class or if I just didn't go anymore. Like, but
I have to say I've had similar experience myself with going back to education. You think it's a good idea, and then when you find yourself in the classroom or the virtual classroom, you go, "Now I remember why I didn't want to do this and why I swore the last time was going to be the last time."
yep, yep,
So
yep.
I certainly sympathize with that. I'll have to remember that quote about lawyers being actors. I don't think the lawyers would enjoy it, but then everyone makes fun of lawyers, so I'm sure they're used to it. Uh,
Yeah.
question 9: what job would you definitely not like to attempt? Although I feel like we just covered that one. Lawyer.
Oh, I don't want to study to be a lawyer. You put me in a courtroom right now, good. That case is won, baby. Like we're good. But I don't want to have to do the studying for it. What job would I dislike very much? I think I and I this is personal, okay? This is personal. This is
Okay.
for me. I
Yeah.
think that there is a lot of like honor, not honor, but like growing that happens when you get like your first job at like, I don't want to say McDonald's, that's so stereotypical. I worked for like 3 days at a gas station as like a cashier.
hmm
And then I didn't go back after a couple of days because I was just like, no, I am not happy.
I'm noticing a common thread here, Elizabeth. When you don't like something, you just don't come back.
Just, just I'm
You just
done.
disappear.
Well, it's really a thing, like I remember these like get rich like pyramid things, I got
Oh yeah.
into a couple of those. Now, I'm not going to like drop any names here, but one of them I really like the product. So, okay,
Mm.
fine. But then another one, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I have a really great mentor, and this mentor is like, okay, you're really ambitious and you could do it. And then the mentor is like telling me, okay, so we're gonna spend 5 hours a day just looking for people to sell to. And I'm like, I can spend, where would I be if I spent an actual 5 hours a day looking for casting directors to get myself out to? You know what I mean? So it's always that
Yeah.
perspective where, like, okay, this person is guaranteeing me the possibility to make income. It's not even like a real thing. You know, I still have to
Yeah.
go and sell the product. And it's the same thing for me and acting. Like, why would I spend my time? Let me just actually get serious about acting. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for the wake up call. I'm gonna stop working at the gas station and I'm gonna go do what I'm supposed to do. But I think that those are important jobs, and I really respect
Yeah.
people that hold those jobs down. Um, and I hope, you know, and this comes from me being American, because I know here in Romania, people do not work until they're much older, like mid-20s. They don't work through school, and they don't move out. The average person, I think, moves out of their home at like 28, 30, something like that. So there's not really a need necessarily to be generating income. So yeah, I hope that that's really like an entry job where people learn discipline. They
Yeah.
learn how to make money, save money, spend money on the right things, you know what I mean? And be disciplined in showing up and understanding how to work on a team in a team environment.
Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Okay, this one's a little emotional, but I have to say it because it's the first thing that came to mind. You've been waiting a while, but your dad's right here. So my excuse me, my father passed not this past year, but in 2021, and that was another process, getting back and forth with COVID and all that stuff. But I got to see him and I got to spend some really good time with him before he passed, and I made it back, you know, when the final days were happening. So I made it back in time to see him. But currently, he's with me. He's in my head. I hear him. I hear his voice, and it's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe it's not weird. Maybe I'm just judging myself. But it's like, this is what my father would say if he were here, if something was happening, you know, and I hear his reaction in my head. So he's still living on through me. But you know, if heaven exists and God said, "Welcome, here he is," then I could hear him in real afterlife, real life, real afterlife.
Perfect. Well, Elizabeth, we've been on for a minute. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for bearing with my schedule as we found a time to meet. I am currently at midnight and a half where I am. What time is it where you are?
It's 9:30 in the morning here.
Wow. No wonder you look so much more fresh than me.
I feel like you scheduled this interview at this time just to get revenge on your teenage neighbor. So while she's playing the piano, you can just keep her up by going on an interview.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
dear.
And I'm looking right past you and I see the pile of laundry. That laundry machine's gonna start. No, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. We have hours for laundry.
Elizabeth, I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks to everyone for watching, live or on the replay, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Sorority Access is now open. So if you'd like to join an amazing group of women and learn how to be the most powerful, confident, and impactful queen possible, head to thepageantsorority.com. I'll see you there and see you in the next video.